Okay, all right. Okay, all right. Technology in real time, y'all. So that was that was my comms coordinator coming to tell me I hadn't started the record button. So anyway, I'm going to repeat this one more time. We have two dynamic legislators with us today, Representative Vivian Flowers, Representative Tippi McCullough, and we are so glad to have you all with us today. We are going to get started. What I'm going to ask you all to do, and again, my name is Kymara Seals. I am the policy director here at the Arkansas Public Policy Panel. Every Friday at noon, we have a live webinar that's streamed on Facebook and our YouTube. We try to educate the public. We do everything we can to educate the public around issues, around process, around advocacy. And so we're excited to be here. So what I'm going to do is ask both of you to take a few minutes, again, give us your name, the area, the constituency you represent, your district, and the committees that you serve on. So Representative McCullough, if you want to go first, and in your position as far as leadership position in the House.
Okay, thank you very much. So happy to be here today. Thanks for asking us to both be here. Happy to be here with my colleague, Vivian, also. District 74 here in Little Rock. That's downtown, kind of up through a slice through the middle of Little Rock, Capitol, several neighborhoods headed out toward I-430, staying between 630 and Cantrell, basically. I am, my main committees this session are Judiciary is my A committee, and City County Local is my B committee.
Okay, great. Thank you, Representative McCullough. Representative Flowers.
Hi there, it's my pleasure to be here. Especially with Directress Seals and my fearless leader in the House, Tippi McCullough. I represent District 65, which is part of Jefferson County. It encompasses the cities of Pine Bluff, Altheimer. It's you know what, I'm not gonna go through all of them because I'm probably gonna forget some, because it's now I went from part of Pine Bluff to an additional 4 cities in Jefferson County. I serve on the House Education, which is my A committee, and House Insurance and Commerce, which is my B committee, and I also serve on Joint Energy. It's a pleasure to be here. My leadership roles include the House Democratic Whip, and I also serve as the National Secretary for the National Black Caucus of State Legislators.
Okay, great. Thank you both for those introductions. And so let's jump in. I want to ask the question, kind of broad strokes. I'm going to tell you, we have seen some very, very mean-spirited bills filed this legislative session. Now, we thought we saw some the last legislative session, but this is a whole new level. So what I want to ask both of you, just describe to me what you see, how you feel about how things are going in this 94th legislative session, just kind of from broad strokes or however you want to engage. I want the people who are watching, who never go to the Capitol, who don't get out, who really aren't in the mix, to really kind of understand some broad strokes on what's happening at the Capitol. So whoever wants to go first.
I can go first. The way I described the session when it first started was weird, and a definitive sort of thick, inexplicable energy. And when I said that, lobbyists and legislators, Democratic and Republican alike, agreed. Yeah. And how I could better describe that now that we are 6 weeks in? We just
week seven, I think.
We just finished week 7?
I think we just finished week 7, or you just finished week 7. Yeah.
Right. So it's moving by really fast, and we spent the first several weeks sort of everybody waiting somewhat on pins and needles because nothing could really be done until we could see what was in the governor's proposed bill on education. Because obviously that is a significant portion of the total state budget. And so no matter where you sit, you know, you couldn't pass any legislation that would have any economic impact without waiting for that. How it's going now, in the 7th week was really weird because we really addressed 2 major issues on the same day, and that was the bill regarding solar that the utilities brought. And we were literally, I'm on Insurance and Commerce. We heard that in the House committee, and we were literally in committee all day. Thankfully, that ended in somewhat of a, or not somewhat of a major compromise, where both sides, you know, gave up some stuff. Both sides were not happy with some stuff. And what I heard a long time ago is when something like that happens, that's probably, you know, the best case scenario for where we could otherwise be. Then, of course, everyone saw that the education bill was dropped, as they said. And that happened on Monday, shortly before 5 p.m. and the bill was heard on Wednesday. They were in there all day. I still have to finish watching it so I can prepare for Tuesday when the bill will be presented in House committee. I'm going to stop there and let my colleague and my leader make some commentary on that.
Okay, let me ask you, Tuesday morning, what time is House Education Committee meeting Tuesday morning?
I believe at 10 a.m., but let me look it up to make sure.
I know it's normally,
and I will, it's normally 10. I just want to make sure, since we can anticipate that it'll be a day long, at least meeting, that everybody has the correct time.
Yeah, and I trust that the education bill is on special order, meaning it will be that day.
Yes.
Okay, okay. All right, Representative McCullough.
Yeah, thank you. I would agree with Vivian, with Representative Flowers. I do believe that this has been a weird session. It started out very slowly, not a lot of bills being filed, especially not many that were very contentious or anything. It picked up a little bit with culture war type bills. We had lots of anti-trans bills, censorship, now anti-affirmative action. And of course, like she said, we are been waiting on the education bill to drop, and also know that public safety is coming after that. And then, you know, taxes, some kind of tax reform. If they have the money to do all of this, we're going to have to wait and see. There's also been a big attack on local control. I'm in city county local committee, and there's constant attack on city control, just limiting anything that cities can do. It's almost as if we need to ask them, do y'all just not want to have cities anymore? Because they're limiting what cities can do with their own government. We've also had some terrible bills, some work requirement bills, taking away safety nets for families. As Representative Flowers said, the solar in city county local, we've had the public notice bill come through, trying to shift public notices from newspapers to a more centralized website, and that would be run by a third party. And we heard testimony in that the other day, but that's as far as we've gone. We haven't voted or anything on that yet. So I really feel like session started Wednesday, basically. Real session started Wednesday with this big education bill coming through. And that has been taking up all the oxygen nearly for anything. And now we've got that. And that's kind of what our work, we've got today through, you know, the weekend into Monday. And then, you know, Representative Flowers and Representative Garner, Denise Garner, who are two members on education. I mean, you know, it's thrown to them so quickly. So right now, going through the process of trying to get some amendments. You know, they said we could add amendments, that they would be collaborative and would look at amendments and everything. So trying to figure out that process right now and get those amendments over to the bill sponsor in the House.
Okay. Thank you for that overview. That was very helpful. I've been involved and in the mix, and that was helpful for me. So I know your overviews were helpful for other people. Let me ask you, and I do agree, it was a slow start. We were kind of wondering what's going on. And for those who don't know, here at the Arkansas Public Policy Panel, we track bills. Our CFC steering committee, vote to support, watch, or oppose bills, and so we have legislative tracking software. So we are very, very engaged. Mm-hmm. And so it was a slow start, but I told the team, I said, just let's be ready because it's coming. The hurricane, the tornado, the landslide, the mudslide, however you want to announce it, it's coming. And we realized, everybody was kind of tiptoeing because they were waiting for the governor's education bill. And so let me ask you, and let me just ask you, one of the things just voters have asked us, and we have our idea, but one of the things that was very problematic is that the governor's bill, omnibus education bill, was filed on Monday at 4:52 p.m., the end of the day, the end of the workday on a Monday. It's a 144-page bill. It was heard Wednesday morning in committee at, I don't know if it was 9 o'clock or whatever time it started, but that's just not enough time. And I also understand that the legislators on the Senate Education Committee did not get enough notice to even read the bill, as thoroughly as they needed to. That's disgrace. So let me ask you all, why are we rushing such a major overhaul in public education? Why are we rushing this? Or why is the governor rushing?
I was going to say, I think that's not a question for us because we certainly aren't. And I would, to your point, like to demonstrate something.
Yeah.
That's
a good visual.
That bill is. Okay. Yeah. That's how thick it is.
Yeah, that's a very good visual.
And it's very intensive. It's a lot of strike throughs and a lot of new language. So you're looking at this very dense, long piece of legislation. And it's not just new language where you can go through it and say what it's going to do. You got to intermittently figure out, wait, why is this stricken? What does this mean? Wait, what's the code? So 144, some say 142 pages, but this says 144.
Right.
Okay. So 144 pages. And because we're talking about a pretty extensive, complex overhaul of our entire education system, which comprises about a third of our budget. So it's going to refer to existing code. So when you see something making a reference, I'm not going to have time to read this whole bill. Nobody would. And refer to every code to see what that code is in the strike throughs and the new language.
Right.
And bear this in mind. It's not just an announcement and an access to the bill starting Monday evening. And so then you have Monday evening, all of Tuesday, and then Wednesday morning before anybody on the Senate ever gets a chance to fully digest, ask questions. I mean, part of this whole legislative process, if you've heard people talk about bills, is, well, did you talk to this agency? Did you talk to that agency? Did you meet with the governor? Did you None of that could possibly happen. People pre-file bills smaller and less relevant than this.
Right.
Back in December, people pre-filed dozens of bills. This bill that's going to change our entire education system was filed last Monday. And I'm going to be asked to make a decision, yes or no on this on Tuesday.
Right.
That
right.
doesn't even give you enough time to fully discuss this
Your
with
constituents.
your constituents.
Right.
Forget the constituents and not forget them, but
Right.
forget having the time to do that. Just talking to all of your superintendents and everybody having an understanding of what this will really do.
Exactly.
And the other thing I would like for you to think about is we have certain rules, including rules about transparency and disseminating information. And they're strong and there are penalties, but they're also, liberal in the sense that you have 24 hours to notify the public.
Right. Representative
We got that
Flowers.
24 hours. And then the last thing I want to say is if you look on the website right now, because I looked on it, education committee meeting is not yet listed on the website, which means that people can't go to it and look all weekend and see, oh, I'm going to go up there.
Right.
They will probably post it on Monday.
Yep.
And people will have 24 hours.
That's by design. Thank you, Representative Flowers, for your comments. Let me get Representative McCullough. She has a hard stop in about 3 minutes. So let me get her comments on why the governor is rushing this bill through.
Yeah, as Representative Flowers said, it's a super complex bill. They tout it as having been a collaborative process. It has not been a collaborative process with Democrats. And I don't think it has been with all Republicans. It's been kind of a special select few. And once that it has seen the light of day, now it's getting questioned, bipartisan questioning in the Senate Education Committee on the Senate floor yesterday. Senator hammered it with questions.
Yes, he did.
Senator Hickey did. So now that it's seeing the light of day, everybody's starting to see the issues and the problems and getting to ask questions about it. And the reason it's being rushed so much, in my opinion, is that the more we get to look at it, the more problems people are going to see, the more they're going to try to, mess with it, the more they're going to try to amend it and all of those. Senator Davis said that she was open, that we would amend it on the House end. They're open to amendments. We're going to see how open that they are to amendments as this process plays out. And but I believe that's why that it's being rushed. They may have thought they had the votes, or they might have thought they were close to having the votes. So let's get this done. Yeah. But this is Representative Flowers says, this is such a shame as far as transparency and being collaborative goes, because this is being rushed, and this is not going to be a bill that has had the all the eyes on it and all the minds on it and all the questions and all the fixes and everything that could happen, unless something happens between now and committee and they either don't vote on Tuesday, or they take some more time to put amendments in. I'm assuming we'll give the amendments maybe to the sponsor, and the sponsor will give them to the governor's office and let them look at it. So it's hard to tell right now exactly how the process is going to play out. But as Representative Flowers said, she could have to vote Tuesday. And then it would go to the House floor.
Right. Yeah, it's ridiculous. And the way I see it is just so disrespectful to the people. Not just to the legislators, it's disrespectful to the legislators, but just to the state of Arkansas. And it's
and educators.
And educators, exactly. And I can tell you from what I'm hearing, it has not been that collaborative. We're hearing groups, we heard Carol Fleming's testimony the other day, who is president of AEA. They were not at the table, and so if AEA, who is the largest education group, wasn't at the table, that's problematic.
Well, and furthermore, we have an omnibus bill. We're about to get omnibus amendments too. Right. So how long is it going to take everybody to study that? That's right.
And I'm gonna say this, and Representative McCullough, I know you have to leave, but our executive director, Bill Kopsky, he testified about the bill. He talked about some of the good things in the bill, but a lot of bad things in the bill. There are things we want to submit as an organization or in collaboration with others that can make things better in the bill. So we are in the process now, and Bill is taking the lead on that to try to have that prepared by the weekend, by Monday, so he can give it to whomever. We don't know if they'll accept it or even read it, who knows, but it's worth a try. It's just that important. And another thing, this governor is undoing everything her father as governor fought to do. I mean, he was really looking at equity. She's not. Governor, her dad, Governor Huckabee, was really a much different leader than where we see her standing. Representative McCullough, thank you for being here. I know you gotta go, you got a hard stop. So thank you so much for being with us today.
Hey, thank y'all. Thank y'all for being on the front lines always. Representative Flowers, I'll see you soon. And anyway, I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, Representative Flowers, can we continue for a few more minutes?
Yes.
No, at least another 10 minutes. Okay. So I know you have a bill that you want to talk about that has been, I think it has almost become controversial with the gun bill.
Yeah.
So I've heard a lot of different comments and commentaries. So I want to give you the opportunity to explain to our viewers and listeners your bill. Tell us the name, the bill number and the name, and then tell us what this bill does and what it doesn't do. And I'll probably
Thank you so much.
Questions. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll try to make it as brief as possible,
Okay.
but it's substantive for sure. It's
Right.
controversial because it's a gun bill, first of all.
Right.
And I want to say that I never thought that I would carry a gun bill. The issue came to me from a constituent who had a felony in his background and prison time, but it's been almost 20 years since then. He paid his debt to society. He has a business, he has a family, and he's frustrated because he cannot possess a firearm. So therefore, for him and for me, he feels like he does not have the right to protect his family, his business. And I always tell people this because I think it's pretty interesting. He has a lawn care, business. And he explained to me when he was telling his whole story that he has to be concerned about his riding lawnmower, which apparently is very, very expensive.
Yes, they are.
People jack people for those. And when you think about our state and how in some areas where people might do that work, you might be someplace where you're in the middle of nowhere by yourself. And it would be easier for someone to come up on you. And he's a sitting duck in that scenario. He can't do what other people who have not lost their rights do and have some measure of protection in the way of a firearm. And while a lot of people, including, this is how I grew up, believe that, we don't need any more guns on the street, only police officers need guns. That sounds great. That I wasn't even allowed to play with toy guns when I was a kid. That's not the world we live in. And I'm a single woman who lives by herself. I have aging parents. And also I live in a world where, we've seen people go to church and be killed and mowed down. We've seen people more recently go to the grocery store, be killed and mowed down for being Black.
Right.
So as a Black woman, I have to be doubly afraid of the double threat that the violence in this society poses to me. And I chose, because I have the right, to get a concealed carry license and to get a weapon. Meanwhile, people like my constituent, other women who made a mistake in their lives without a weapon, that those offenses were not violent, but yet they have really a permanent loss of their rights to protect themselves and their families and their businesses and property because of this federal law and state law that takes those rights away. Their only recourse in the state of Arkansas is a gubernatorial pardon, which are extremely, extremely rare. And by definition, very, very political.
Right.
And so what the bill in the short term seeks to do is to provide a pathway. It's a petition process that already exists from our Drug Court Act and from our First Offender Act to allow nonviolent offenders in most cases, which doesn't include any misdemeanor or felony domestic crimes, some other nonviolent felonies are also excluded, like residential burglary and felony fleeing. And I may take issue with that, but the bottom line is we worked with the prosecutor's office, the attorney from the state police, as well as the attorney from ACIC, the Arkansas Crime Information Center. They all worked with us on this bill over 2 years ago. We have met with them since to make sure that the language comports with existing law and code changes. And we feel confident that it's a really, really good bill. And really, every time that there's opposition and pushback, the bill gets even better. So I want to thank people.
So, right.
So because it's a better bill now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's great. So where are you in? So the bill is filed. The bill
failed in committee.
Okay.
It failed in committee. We're bringing it back. We're meeting with the people who spoke against it. We also have the support of now Representative Gazaway and as well as Representative Cindy Crawford. Representative Gazaway voted against it, even though he was initially supportive because of some concerns that were raised. So he's helping us work out those kinks. And Representative Cindy Gazaway was also a co-sponsor to the bill, and she just didn't vote and pledged in committee to work to help get it passed. So that's what we're working to do. The other thing that we want to point out is what this bill does is ultimately dismisses and discharges the petition after it goes through the petition process, and then allows the person to seal. We already have a sealing act, but the discharge and dismiss basically allows the state to treat the felony, that one, because the only people who are eligible for this are people who committed who have one conviction. May have been several counts in that one conviction, but one conviction of a nonviolent felony, you get to go back, and the state, if they deem that you meet the criteria, will treat the felony as if it never existed, which helps to address the federal law as it relates to state convictions. And for people, who are supportive of laws, of reform, and really second chances. And we've seen this from many Republican organizations, many Republican leaders. There's every reason to support this bill from wherever you stand.
Right. So you feel you have garnered the support now through the process of the amendments to get this bill out of committee? I feel
like we're almost there. And I just talked with the chair, Representative Dalby, and I had asked for it to be addressed again next week. That is not a possibility because of other bills that are on the agenda, but the following week is when we will pick it back up, and I will post about it. And I think I'm doing an interview today. There continues to be more attention paid to it, even though it's semi-dormant, because people want this to happen. There are so many people who lost their rights, who for years have never been able to get them back and cannot go hunting with their kids and grandkids, which we know is a huge part of the culture of Arkansas and the natural state. That coupled with the fundamental right of being able to protect yourself, and then the fundamental right of people not being cruel and unusually punished. To me, it seems really outrageous and outlandish that someone who did not use a weapon, let alone a firearm, who was not violent in the commission of their crime, who have paid their debt to society, and it's been 10 years since they paid their debt to society. You're telling me that person is a danger? I say, and I'm telling you, I know this to be true, the data shows that those people are less than a threat than the average person who has never been convicted of a crime.
Thank you for that explanation, Representative Flowers. I have talked to many people about it, and people were confused and couldn't understand.
And so thank you for this. And what you
do. No. I definitely wanted to give you a few minutes to address it on our platform because we need understanding. We've had people in our inner circle, our leadership, who were scratching their heads. And so one of the things I was trying that I tried to explain was this was nonviolent offenders who didn't use a weapon in the commission of the crime. 10 years, you know, it would be 10 years. And like I said, I didn't know about the one.
Not even since the conviction, 10 years since they completed parole, jail time.
Oh, wow.
Probation, fines, fees,
Right,
restitution.
right.
That could be a 10 or 20-year process unto itself. 10
Right.
years after that.
Right, I got you.
And I want to leave everybody with this. You heard about this bill. You heard that there were concerns. You know, different organizations.
Right.
The governor's secretary of public safety spoke against the bill. And it is their right to do so. This is a process by which we vet legislation to make sure that there are not unintended consequences, to make sure that there's no fiscal impact. And if there is, if we can afford it, you know, this is a back and forth process that allows us to make sure when we make these kinds of decisions that we are putting forth changes in policy that will positively affect our people, right?
Awesome. Yeah.
Why can't we do that with this education bill?
Oh, exactly. Well, on that note, thank you, Representative Flowers.
Yeah, this mic is dropped over here.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Drop the mic. Oh, I agree. I am with you. That's why I said on that note, okay, the mic is dropped. So thank you so much for your time today, for being with us. We want to thank Representative Tippi McCullough, who just got off a little early for an appointment. Thank both of you for your leadership, your dedication, and just everything that you do in the House and, you know, working on behalf of the constituents. I want to thank our audience on YouTube and Facebook for joining us. I want to give you an email address. No, not an email. No, website. You all can go and you can sign up for our legislative alerts. The CFC does legislative alerts every Saturday, I believe. We send out an alert every Saturday of the legislative session. You can go to citizensfirst.org. citizensfirst.org and sign up if you're not already on our email list. You can also go, we have a really nice legislative directory. All of the legislators from the House and the Senate are in there, the districts they represent, the committees they serve on, and maps for each committee for the House and the Senate, the A committees, the B committees, and I think we have the C committees. So make sure you utilize that. The first page, second page of that directory shows how you can reach out to your legislators. You can send messages called the legislative message system, where you talk to a live person and leave a message for your legislator about a bill, whether you support it, whether you oppose it, or whatever you want to say. You don't have to talk to the legislator. The numbers are in that directory on page 2 at the very top of the page. We want you to be involved. We want you to be involved in advocacy. We want you talking to your legislators, communicating with them. We had a fabulous rally on yesterday. If you've not seen that footage, please go to our Facebook page. We coordinated along with ACLU. We had about 32 organizations represented. It was great. We had about 250 people, maybe a little more, that came out and we rallied. It was called Stand for AR Rights rally. So we are moving, we are doing things, we are making our voice heard, and we just have to take a stand. We got to let our legislators know we're here. And we want to be a part of the process. So thank you again, Representative Flowers, for being with us. And at this point, we are concluding this webinar. Join us next Friday at noon right here. We will be on another subject. We have a different subject each Friday. I think we're talking about more in depth on the education bill next Friday. I'm not for sure. If we are, Bill Kopsky will be the moderator. So we look forward to you all coming back and being a part of this. Any closing comments, Representative Flowers?
I just want to thank the Arkansas Public Policy Panel for the work that it does. It is our truest form of grassroots citizen lobbying. y'all do it every year and show how it's done. So I want to thank you for that. And thank you for this discussion. Thank you so much.
Okay, great. I was just prompted by my comms coordinator to make sure we had to read a few questions.
I answered them.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yes.
On my end, I don't even see them.
Yeah, I'll tell you that I don't know if I can't still see them because they came from Facebook, but I think Ryan Davis asked a question about, somebody asked a question about whether or not we'd be able to file amendments. That's what we were told. Oh, and Ryan Davis asked how the bill will fare in the House. And I said, well, there are over 50 co-sponsors, so people need to call their reps.
Right. Yep, we got to be on it. We've got to be on it. We've got.
Oh, one other thing I want to add.
Sure.
You know, a lot of people see folks from districts like Little Rock and Pine Bluff school districts, and they see people of color, because obviously we're concerned about issues of equity. We're concerned about the impact that these changes to education are going to have on these very vulnerable populations. But I want to point out that there are a lot of people who are not people of color. They are not living in cities. They are our white brothers and sisters who live in rural areas, and they rely on the quality and the accessibility of their rural public school districts. And many of them are in close or relatively close proximity to private schools and charter schools. And I think that, you know, we need to be aware that the most vulnerable schools at risk of being closed because of people leaving those schools and those schools being thrown into fiscal distress are those rural school districts that are not in Little Rock, they're not in Northwest Arkansas, they're not in Pine Bluff. They are in North Central Arkansas, you know, they are in South Arkansas, in areas that are not largely racially diverse, in Eastern Arkansas, but they are small school districts where people know each other. And I think we need to look at what's going to happen to those school districts, not first and foremost, but first and foremost in the sense that we tend to think that they're safe, and they're not.
And they're not, right. Thank you for that. That is a very good point. We've talked about that here at the panel about the risk to rural schools in the rural areas. So
there's a reason that vouchers have on this scale have never been supportive. And, you know, politics is playing the largest part in this, in addition to pairing vouchers with the things that we want, like good pay for our teachers.
Right.
And so it's very tactical, just like
it is.
Piece is very tactical, and we just need, I mean, but it's a part of the process.
Right.
And we need to be a part of the process too.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Representative Flowers.
Thank you all so much.
Yeah, we're going to close a second time.
Happy Friday.
Thank you. Happy Friday.
See you Tuesday.
Yeah, right. Tuesday morning. Yeah, exactly. We'll be in the house for sure.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Have a good one. Thank you all.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.